Hi, hello, and welcome to today's video. It is September, which means that it is officially fall. Well, actually, it's September 8th. So I think that fall actually starts on September like 21st or something, but in my heart, it is fall. So I'm going to be going through, I picked out 10 books from my physical TBR, and I'm going to be sharing my fall TBR with you guys today. Hi, hello, and welcome to today's video. It is September, which means that it is officially the fall months. We are entering months that end with burr. So I'm going to be going through and sharing my fall So I'm going to be going through and showing you guys my fall TBR for this year, except for we have a little bit of a twist because I currently have about 60 books on my physical TBR, which is not as bad as it could be, but not as good as I want it to be. And this year, I'm really taking a focus on cutting back on that number. So the twist for today is that every single book in this video is going to be a book that I already have on my shelves. I really want to challenge myself. I went through and I picked out 10 books. So if I could cross these books off my list, then we could be down into the 50s for the number on my physical TBR, which is great. That's just a lot better than 60 now, isn't it? I don't even know what I'm saying right now. Hi, hello, and welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be going through and sharing my fall TBR with y'all. It is officially September, which means that we are getting into fall. I am so excited. Put those down because they're actually really heavy. So yeah, it is officially September, and while I do live in Florida and it is definitely too hot to be wearing a sweater right now, I can still get myself excited, get myself in the fall mood. I've been watching different kinds of movies. I've been making pumpkin treats. I've been making my pumpkin cold brew, my pumpkin cold foam cold brew, my Starbucks look-alike coffee at home. I love fall. It is my favorite season, and I wish that I lived in a state that had fall, but I'm getting off track. So basically, moral of the story is that today I'm going to be going through and sharing my Today I'm going to be sharing my fall TBR with y'all, but there's a little bit of a twist, and that is that every single book on this TBR are books that are already on my shelves. I have really been trying to focus on getting down the number of physical books on my TBR and kind of focusing on reading those books, focusing on only buying books that I think I'm actually going to read, because I have had a bad habit. I've been a victim of the thrift store book section and of buying 10 $3 books that I actually don't really want to read and just picking them up because they're only $3. So I'm trying to be better about that. I really want to curate my shelves so that they are a reflection of books that I actually have enjoyed reading and books that I'm excited to read and to recommend to others. So whenever people come over, I am actually knowledgeable about what's on my shelf, because, you know, somebody picks up a book and they're like, oh my gosh, I've been wanting to read this, like whatever, or oh my gosh, like how's this book, what's it about? And I'm like, I don't even know, I'm probably never gonna read it. Anyways, yeah, so I went through my shelves and I picked out 10 books that I think are giving a little bit of the fall vibe. Books that are either fantasy or just a little bit more moody, because I feel like that's what I really enjoy in the fall time. I actually have mostly fantasy here and then a little bit of general fiction. I think one romance. Not a whole lot of romance on here. I have not been in a romance mood lately. Every romance I pick up, I feel like it's kind of not hitting all of the facets of what I'm looking for. I'm rambling. Why am I rambling so much? Nobody cares. Okay, so before I keep just talking about stuff that nobody cares about, because we all know what a TBR is, we all know what a fall video is, we all know what a bookshelf is. I'm gonna get started on going through these books because we are going to lose the plot, and I will sit here with an hour worth of footage that I need to sort through whenever really I should just stop talking. Okay, so the first book that I really want to pick up this fall is Phantasma by Kaylee Smith. This book came out in September of last year, of 2024, and everybody was raving about it, but at the time, I don't know what I was reading, I don't know what I was doing, but for some reason I didn't end up picking it up. but I really do want to grab it this year because I just want to see what all the hype is about. And the second book is out. I forget what it is called, but maybe if I really enjoy this one, we'll go ahead and pick that one up as well. If you don't know, this is kind of like a gothic fantasy type book where the main character's name is Ophelia and her sister enters this contest, which I believe the contest is called Phantasma. Y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but she enters this contest and the whole kind of basis is that if you win, you get granted one wish. So her sister enters, but she apparently doesn't have a lot of faith that she's going to be able to survive this competition because it is deadly. You know, that's where the gothic part comes in. It's kind of like a dark fantasy. So she doesn't apparently have a lot of faith that her sister is going to win, so she decides to follow her into the competition, and I'm assuming that we just follow her throughout her journey. I'm assuming we're going to see the different trials that she's in. There's kind of a dark romance, I'm assuming. Like I said, I don't really know a whole lot about this. I did manage to avoid pretty much all the spoilers pertaining to this book, so I do like to go in kind of blind, so I'm not really going to read more than just a little bit of the synopsis on the back. But yeah, I do really want to pick this one up, and I'm pretty confident that we're going to get to this one, if we're being honest with ourselves. The next book that I want to pick up is another one that I have been seeing people talk about for years, and that is The House on the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. This is about a magical caseworker who gets called to visit this orphanage filled with 6 extremely powerful magical children, and basically his job is to determine if these children are kind of safe to be in society, from what I can tell. And he kind of forms a relationship with each and every one of them and kind of figures out that he wants to protect them, even though he's there to determine kind of what to do with them. I guess he's, you know, has decided that they are worth protecting. They're worth putting his job on the line to kind of save and advocate for. This book just gives such cozy vibes. I believe this might be a YA fantasy. I'm not completely sure, but I think that it is. But based on everything I've seen, this is just such an atmospheric, kind of cozy read. I do think this is one that you could probably read in like the summer or the fall, because it being on the sea, it does kind of give summer vibes. But I do think that the orphanage setting and just the magic and everything is just very cozy. So I think I'm going to enjoy this one. I do also feel like I'm going to be able to pick this up. I don't know, it's not too long. I feel like it's one that I could pick up in between some of these more darker books, based on what I've heard. It's not going to be anything too heavy. The next book that I want to read is Legendborn by Tracy Dion. This is one that I actually picked up this past June, but this has been on my radar for a very long time, as I'm sure it has other people. I think this book came out in like 2020, and I know that it has been highly raved about on the internet. I'm not fully sure what the synopsis is. I know that it is this girl, and I think she joins a private school, and I think she's trying to figure out the mystery of her mother's death, and she joins a secret society that happens to be magical, and then she finds out that she has powers. I think that's what this is about. Genuinely, I'm not sure. Like I said, if I don't know what the synopsis fully is, I don't really want to go and read it even, because there can just be a lot of spoilers on the backs of books. I like to, again, just go in pretty blind, but I do think that the general vibe is magic, boarding school, secret society, which I don't know about you, but to me that sounds like the perfect like fall fantasy. And again, this has been highly raved about. I'm pretty confident that I'm going to enjoy this one, and I definitely want to make sure that I pick it up this fall. Next up, we have Us Against You by Frederick Bachman. This book is the second in the Beartown trilogy. This is another one that I'm pretty confident I'm going to pick up because I absolutely loved Beartown. That was a 6-star book for me. I literally made my book club read it right after I was done. They were like, oh, does anybody have a book for next month? And I was like, I do. I have a book for next month, and it's Beartown by Frederick Bachman, and I think that everybody should read it. But yeah, this is the second book in that trilogy. Honestly, I don't know what this one is about. I can kind of guess based on how the last one ended off, but I haven't even read the synopsis for this at all because I'm just so excited to get into this and to be back with these characters that I don't want to spoil it for myself. I know that I'm pretty sure it's like Beartown versus the next town over, there's like a championship thing going on. It's hockey based. But it's more than hockey. It's friendship, and it's love, and it's family, and it's betrayal, and it's community. And I'm definitely gonna read this. Like, I'm not kidding anybody whenever I say, like, I know that sometimes TBRs can be a challenge because you set books for yourself and you're like, oh, like, I don't know if I'm actually gonna read that, or like, that would be fun, but I'm not sure. I know that I'm gonna read this, but I did want to go ahead and put this on here just to set that precedent for myself. And I would really, really like to finish the series before the end of the year. I think I want to read Winners in like December. If not, maybe November, but at least in December, because I do think that this series, it is set in Sweden, but it's a very like it's very icy terrain. Like, it's pretty much perpetually winter there, so it is very seasonally appropriate for the fall and the winter time. So yeah, Us Against You by Frederick Bachman. I'm very, very excited about this one. Next up, we have another Frederick Bachman book, and that is A Man Called Ove, or A Man Called Ove. I've always said Ove, but I think it's Ove. I'm not sure. I didn't watch the movie. I wanted to read the book first, so I'm sure that they tell you how to pronounce his name there. However, I do want to pick up another Frederick Bachman book. The only book I read by him so far is Beartown, and then soon to be Us Against You. But I do want to pick up his other works because I've heard that the Beartown series is a little bit different from how he usually writes. Except for the perspective things. I'm pretty sure he's pretty much known for having multiple perspectives in his books. But that's besides the point. I think that that concept and that story is a little bit different from what he usually writes. This is pretty much like a quintessential Frederick Bachman story. So I do really want to get into this. This one I'm actually not sure if I'm going to read it before or after I finish the Winners. So this might be read this fall, this might be read this upcoming winter. However, this is definitely on my radar of books that I want to pick up probably before the end of the year, if not early next year. Because like I said, like, I know I've only read one book by him, so I'm not the person to look for all of the Frederick Bachman knowledge, but that one book did just make me absolutely fall in love with his writing, and I do really, really want to get into more of his works, and quickly. Next up, we have The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston, and this is, again, one of those books that have been on my shelves for so long, and I just keep not picking it up, and I'm not really sure why. I don't know what's not clicking for me, but I really want to make it a mission to read this book this fall. If you don't know, this is about our main character. Her name is Clementine, and she basically inherits her aunt's apartment, which I guess it's like romance with magical realism, because this apartment can pretty much slip between time, and she ends up being transported, I believe, to 7 years ago. Sometimes whenever she walks into her apartment, it's 7 years ago, and there's a man living in that apartment, and I guess they strike up a friendship or something, and then I'm pretty sure she's dealing with like grieving her aunt's death, something like that. I don't know, but I know people love this book. I know that it's supposed to be very, again, just cute, cozy, wholesome romance with a little bit of that like magical realism. Honestly, I mostly just want to read this to get it off of my TBR, because again, it has been sitting there for so long, and I feel like I owe it to this book to finally give it a chance. So yeah, this is our one romance that we are definitely going to be picking up this fall. Next, we have Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross, and honestly, this is one of those books where I'm not really sure why I haven't picked it up yet, because I loved Divine Rivals. I gave that book a 5 stars. I'm pretty sure I read it in like a day and a half. I was sobbing with that book. This came out, I immediately bought it as soon as it came out. Like, I saw it on the shelves, I bought it. I didn't even think about it. And then it's just sat there ever since. And honestly, I do know why I haven't picked it up, and it's because I'm kind of nervous, because I loved the romance in Divine Rivals. I thought that it was just so beautiful at the time that I read it. And then this book came out, people were saying that it wasn't really focused on the romance. You didn't really get any of Iris and Roman. I'm pretty sure those are their names. You don't really see them together. They don't have very many interactions or anything like that. So that did make me just a little bit less interested to read it. But again, with how much I loved the first one and with how long this has been sitting on my shelves, I do just want to go ahead and give it a chance, because I feel like I owe this book the chance to prove me wrong and to prove the writings wrong. And whether or not I agree with what people have said about it, I again, like I just want to give it my own opinion. So I would really like to pick this up this fall and get it off of my TBR for sure. She needs to go. Next we have another book that is 100% going to be read this fall, and that is Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J Maas. This is the last book in the Throne of Glass series, and I literally just finished the Empire of Storm and Tower of Dawn Tandem read yesterday. So I know for a fact I'm already going to read this. This is not even a challenge or anything, but I did want to put this on here again because why would I not add on a book that I know that I'm going to read to my fall TBR? Why would I make it harder for myself and be like, here's my 10 books that I'm not sure if I'm going to read, and then also here's a pile of 5 books over there that I do know that I'm going to read. So I know for a fact I'm going to read this. I cannot give you a synopsis. I cannot tell you what this book is about. I cannot tell you anything because obviously this is the last book in a 7-book series, so spoilers, duh. But if you have not read this series yet by some miracle, because I swear to you I'm one of the last people in all of planet Earth to not read this series who is into, you know, book talk and booktube and fantasy. I don't know how it took me so long to get through this series. Yeah, if you haven't, I highly recommend. I could not more highly recommend a fantasy series ever. I'm so excited to see how everything gets tied together in this story because, oh my gosh, as we got to the end of the last 2 books and we see all these characters that we've been like meeting for the last like 3 years, and we see everything slowly coming together into the master plan, and it's just, I'm so excited to read this book. So yeah, definitely recommend picking up the Throne of Glass series if you haven't already yet. But I'm sure that you have. I'm sure that you have. Next we have another book that I don't know how I waited so long to read this, and I'm saying this not even in a dramatic sense because this book didn't come out in 2023. I don't even think this book came out in 2020. I'm pretty sure this book came out in like 2018. Actually, I'll tell you right now. Let me look. I'll tell you when this book came out. Copyright 2015. This book came out in 2015, and that is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. Leigh Bardugo. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. But Six of Crows. Let me tell you something about Six of Crows. I have picked up this book maybe 2 or 3 times over the past 10 years trying to read it, and I have never been able to read it, and I don't know why that is. I don't know what it is. I feel like I always stop at the same point, and I just need to get past that. I need to get over myself, and I need to read this book because people love it. People love this. I think it's a duology. I don't even think it's a series or a trilogy, but people freaking love this story, and I'm gonna give it one last go, and I swear to you, if I cannot get through it, I'm going to unhaul this book, and I'm never going to think about it ever again because I am 23 years old. I'm pretty sure the first time I ever tried to read this book, I was like 15. So if I cannot read this book at this point, it needs to go. But I really do want to sit down and give it like a good try. I've made it to, I think I still have a bookmark in here from the last time I read it. I made it to page 73 out of 465. I have over 400 pages left in this book. I don't know if I made it further than that the other time that I read this, but that's what my bookmark in here right now says. I need to read this book. I need to read this book. I don't even care if I like it or not. I need to read this book and get it off of my shelf badly. So I feel like this is honestly, out of all the books on this TBR, this is the biggest challenge for me because I've been staring at this book for years now. But I digress. Someone in the comments, someone comment down below and convince me to read that book. Someone give me something. Tell me that it gets better after page like 75. Please, because I'm sure that it does. I'm sure that it does. Most fantasy books don't even pick up until like a third of the way through. So, I don't know. Anyways, our 10th and final book that I want to read this fall is 1984 by George Orwell. I also always mess up and always call this 1989, and I don't know why I do that. 1989 is nothing. 1984 by George Orwell. I have a list of books that I feel as though every single person has read throughout middle school and high school that for some reason my school did not assign. I read a lot of books. I was in like AP Literature and AP English and whatever. I read a lot of books in school. I read The Bluest Eye. I read Their Eyes Were Watching God. I read The Great Gatsby. I read freaking How to Kill a Mockingbird. Like, I read a lot of the books, Frankenstein, whatever. Doesn't matter, I don't need to tell you all of them. But however, there are some that I feel like are so... Okay, hi, hello. I don't actually know if we're still in the same place, or if we moved a little bit, but basically I just ran out of storage, so I just had to go and delete some stuff. But however, what I was saying is that I feel like there are books that everybody has read throughout middle school and high school that I just haven't, and I really want to challenge myself, especially books that are banned now. I just want to go back and read them. I feel like they were required reading for a reason. We were supposed to get something out of them. They were important for a reason. So the one that I want to read this fall is 1984 by George Orwell. I especially feel like this one is becoming more and more relevant with AI and with the way that people are basically scamming other people using deepfakes and all this stuff. Again, I don't actually really know everything that this book is about because I haven't read it yet, but I do know that this is where like Big Brother is watching comes from, and with social media and with you know, the lack of protection for our data and everything like just getting worse and worse. I do feel like this is highly relevant right now, so I do want to read this. The thing too though is that this book, it's a small copy and it's not that many pages, but the words are so condensed. I don't know if you can really tell, but the margins are really small and the words are like, the lines are really condensed. So I might actually end up having to get this on my Kindle anyways, because I feel like this font is going to hurt my eyes, and that is so not relevant to what we're talking about right now. So I don't really know why I just told you all of that. Nobody cares. But anyways. So yeah, that is the 10 books for my physical TBR that I want to read this fall. I'm honestly feeling really good about this list, really confident. I think that I can at least get through, I'm gonna say I'm gonna read at least 6 books off of this list this fall. And I feel pretty confident about that. I hope that you enjoyed, and I hope that this inspired you to also take a look at your own physical shelves before you go out to bookstores this year. I know that it is really exciting, especially whenever it's a new season or a holiday, to go and buy a bunch of books pertaining to that, whether it's summer reads or fall romances or Christmas books or whatever. I know that that could be really, really exciting, and I definitely can fall victim to that, but I really want to challenge myself to take a look at my shelves and again work on reading those books before I go and pick up a bunch of new books, especially for something seasonal like a fall romance. I don't feel as though that is something that I need to own on my shelves for forever and ever. That is likely going to be something that I rent from the library. All that to say, I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Bye.